Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
3 people are in the hospital this morning because they were shot near a local restaurant. And this morning, we're going to bring you an update on what led to this as police search for a possible shooter.
And it's another cool start this morning with temperatures in the 30s and 40s. I'll show you when we're going to warm up to nearly 80 degrees. Plus, we'll learn more about future plans for historically black universities in Raleigh today. The update about their economic futures from both St. Aug's and Shaw University leaders. We will have that and so much more to get your Tuesday morning started October 22nd. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
Yeah, I'm Chris Lovingood. And just in case you want to see us beyond this show, we are going to be at the State Fair today. That's going to be exciting, and it's going to be beautiful to get outside there today.
It's warming up nice.
It is. Elizabeth Gardner has proof of that as we look at the North Hills. Beautiful way to start the day.
Oh, it's a great day to be at the fair. Honestly, I'm not sure that we're going to have a bad day to be at the fair. We'll have some temperatures that are cooler than others. So I'm going to show you the 7-day forecast. You can pick, which temperature looks the best. Beautiful in North Hills right now. Lots of sunshine, 46 degrees. Our temperature and a dew point nice low at 44. Our cool spot this morning has been Roxborough at 36. So there could be a little patchy frost in some places up near the Virginia line. Our warm spot's been Fayetteville sitting at 49 right now. But most of us are starting in the mid 40s. And we'll see a high this afternoon of around 80 degrees with lots of sunshine. Tracking Oscar, it continues to move through the Bahamas with just winds at 40 miles per hour. Not much left of this storm, and a cold front will keep it from moving up toward the United States. That cold front will also drop our temperatures a little bit, but then an even more potent front and high pressure system actually could bring us some cooler temperatures. We'll show you that coming up, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, we stand on top of that breaking news in Southeast Raleigh this morning. We're talking about this crash right now, probably in the clearing phase really on I-40-440 split, causing quite a bit of backup there, stretching all the way back almost to Highway 42. You can see the major traffic jam that it's causing this morning. This is a still shot of that image taken within the last 10 seconds or so. I'll tell you what, if you're coming in from Garner, avoid this traffic mess. Go over to Highway 70 as an alternate route coming into the Triangle and surrounding communities. Also, we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown at I-540, those lanes that many of you use as an alternate route as well. And of course, around the Beltline, we're seeing the usual slowdown around Capitol Boulevard. You're looking at a 5 to 10 minute delay depending on where you are. And of course, in Durham, we're seeing going into I-885, we're seeing a slowdown as we can see this time of the morning. Here's what we're seeing in terms of the delays that you might be looking at this morning. You're coming in from Lee County, Moore County on US 1. You're looking at a 15-minute delay, 24 minutes if you're coming in on that traffic jam that I showed you on I-40 in those westbound lanes. And the other trouble spot, of course, is Wake Forest. Friends of Wake Forest, you're looking at a 12-minute delay. And I talked about the I-85 situation going in to the Bull City this morning. You're looking at an 18-minute delay. With these traffic changing conditions, we will keep you updated on the radio. If you're listening to us, we do appreciate that. Hope we're helping out. You can do the same at 101.5 HD3 anywhere in the Triangle.
Thanks, Ken. 3 people were seriously hurt during a shooting at a deli in Fayetteville. It happened just before midnight, right next to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center in Fayetteville. And that's where we find WRAL's Kelsey Coffey. Kelsey, investigators were there for hours this morning, and the victims are now in the hospital.
Michelle, yes, those 3 people are in serious condition this morning, and that shooting happened here at the Manhattan Deli on Village Drive. This is right next door to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. But let's take you straight to video now from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker so you can get a look at that scene. You can see crime scene tape surrounding the parking lot at the deli. Investigators were there working for hours. We're still working to find out what led up to this shooting, and we're also working to get an update on the condition of those 3 people who were shot. Right now, we're asking Fayetteville police if they have any information about a possible shooter. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Fayetteville.
And a man is hurt after a shooting in Durham. Police tell us it happened just before 8 last night on West Enterprise Street near Fargo Street. Video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker shows a large police presence and several evidence markers. Officials say the man was taken to the hospital and is expected to survive. No word yet on suspects in this case.
With just weeks to go, 2 in fact, until Election Day, both presidential campaigns are stopping in North Carolina today. WRAL's Laura Levine joins us live from Cat's Cradle in Carborough. And Laura, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff will be there, while former President Donald Trump will be in Greensboro.
Second gentleman Doug Imhoff will begin his day in Cary for a campaign event. Then he'll stop here for a rally at Cat's Cradle. You can already see staff have begun unloading equipment off the truck here to prepare for the event taking place. We know that it's going to be a concert where Doug Imhoff is going to really try to mobilize support for Kamala Harris in the Walls campaign, as well as encouraging people to vote early. Imhoff was here in North Carolina recently as well, campaigning. These visits from both parties have become regular as North Carolina plays a critical role in this election. Former President Donald Trump will be in Greensboro today after holding a rally yesterday in Greenville and getting a look at the storm damage in Asheville. With early voting underway, the location of these stops are very strategic. Political strategists say data shows black voter turnout is down sharply from 2020, especially in rural parts of the state where black voters tend to be more socially conservative.
The ground campaign from both the Democrats and Republicans are in hyperdrive for the next 2 weeks. It'll be hand-to-hand combat because regardless of all the commercials, regardless of all the visits, it comes down to who turns out.
And political experts say while early voting trends do not determine or predict the outcome of an election, we know here in North Carolina, more than 1 million people have already cast their ballots. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Carborough.
And folks, if you have questions about your polling site, WRAL has you covered. Learn about each of the candidates on your ballot and be informed. You can also set a reminder to vote. You can do all that on WRAL.com by searching the word vote.
Happening today, we'll receive an update about key future initiatives and activities planned for Raleigh's historically black universities. Shaw University's president and St. Augustine's interim president will give updates to Raleigh's Economic Development and Innovation Committee. The HBCU roundtable is planned for 1:30 this afternoon.
The essential-only travel ban in western North Carolina was lifted. During an update with FEMA yesterday, Governor Roy Cooper announced the number of customers without power is 5,400, it looks like. The state DOT says early data suggests the amount to fix all the roads and bridges is $5 billion. And so far, more than 750 of the 1,200 roads that were closed have reopened. More than 3,100 soldiers and airmen have also been working in western North Carolina.
Durham Public Schools' new superintendent wants to hear from you about your experience with the district. Anthony Lewis is holding a meeting tonight to speak to families, students, staff, and community members. Tonight's meeting will be at 6:30 at Hillside High School.
If you're over the age of 65, well, today is your special day to enjoy the State Fair. Admission is free for senior citizens today. Bojangles biscuits and coffee will be served on the Dorton patio near the waterfall at Senior Fun Fest. Breakfast begins at 9. That's about 53 minutes from now. The thing is, though, it's going to be served until it's all gone. A program with Agriculture Commissioner Steve Troxler and music will kick off at 10 a.m. Accessible parking is available outside Gate 10. You can get there by using Trinity Road. Overflow parking and handicap parking is available at Carter Finley Stadium.
And be sure to stop by our tent to meet members of the WRAL team while you're at the fair. We're located in our usual spot on the northeast side of Dorton Arena. Chris and I will be there today from 10:30 to 11:30 this morning. Come say hi. And this afternoon, you can meet Gerald Owens and Julian Grace from 2 until 3 o'clock.
Your time is 8:08 this morning. We have new information about the helicopter crash that killed 4 people, including a child. We're going to walk you through what investigators are saying happened to the lights on the radio tower involved days before the crash.
And doctors are warning about the potential risks that come with wearing non-prescription contacts. What you need to know if you are planning on adding them as an accessory to your Halloween costume.
And visibility is dropping in just a few places. We're looking at what that will feel like when you head out the door. Coming up.
A little surprise looking here live at the Southern Pines Camera. Beautiful day, and I only see, what is it, like 3 people out there right now? Get it together, Southern Pines. But you're going to be out today at some point. It's beautiful out, especially at the fair where Michelle and I will be a little bit later. And we've got Elizabeth Gardner here getting you a start on your weather forecast.
Yeah, beautiful out all across the area. Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill, all looking gorgeous with blue skies. Chapel Hill's courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. We've seen some patchy fog, especially up near the Virginia line. Last look over at Lake Gaston was pretty foggy. And we may see that developing again tomorrow morning as well. It tends to get worse right around sunrise. And so now that the sun is up, that should dissipate pretty quickly. High pressure keeping things dry for us for the next several days. We do have a front that comes through Thursday. That front, as you can see, does not have much rain with it. And when it comes through here, it will be dry for us again. So pretty weather for us. 79 today at the fair, 80 degrees on Wednesday, 74 on Thursday. So behind that front temperatures, or with that front even, temperatures will be a little bit cooler. There is still no rain in the forecast through Saturday, but another front comes through Saturday night, and that could bring us a very tiny chance of rain. But generally, we'll stay dry all the way through Halloween, and that's definitely good news for all the trick-or-treaters out there. Here comes our Saturday night front, and notice we see this tiny little thin kind of green blob there. That's probably going to be a few hundredths of an inch of rain that moves through on Saturday night. And then Sunday, we should be back to dry conditions. But that high pressure system may start a pattern that we call cold air damming. When we end up, especially late fall, winter, with high pressure systems sitting in the northeast, sometimes they push some cool, damp air from the Atlantic into our area. That starts to pile up against the mountains. If you can imagine that air coming off the Atlantic and hitting the mountains, and it just can't go anywhere. So we get a cool dome of air with some moisture, and a lot of times that's cloudy for us and cooler. So we may start to see that pattern developing Sunday and Monday. Of course, we're still tracking the tropics. Oscar still just has 40-mile-per-hour winds, barely holding on there. Likely in the next 24 hours, it will dissipate. And of course, that front is going to keep it from moving toward North Carolina. We haven't had any real freezing temperatures yet. A little bit of patchy frost in spots last week, but meteorologist Chris Michael is coming up in just a few minutes to talk about when we see that first hard freeze and why it's happening later now than it used to. Of course, we're not seeing it anywhere in the 7-day forecast with those overnight lows in the 40s and 50s. And again, that cold air damming pattern may bring our temperatures down close to 80 today and tomorrow, but then after that, Sunday and Monday, back into the 60s, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We continue to stay on top of that breaking news there in Southeast Raleigh because of this crash. We're hearing now it's in the clearing phase. Our friends at State DOT says it's in the clearing phase, but it's still causing quite a bit of backup on those I-40 westbound lanes coming into the capital city this morning. You can see the huge bumper-to-bumper traffic. If you're coming in from Gardner, avoid this backup. Use Highway 70 as an alternate route coming into the capital city this morning. That'll save you a lot of time. Elsewhere, we want to isolate a couple of other troubled spots this morning, particularly when we're talking about the Beltline this morning. We're seeing the usual slowdown on the northern loop of the Beltline that's around Capitol Boulevard, Wake Forest Road, Six Forks Road this morning. We're seeing a little bit of a slowdown around Jones Franklin Road there in Cary on the southern loop of the Beltline. Probably looking at a 3 to 5 minute delay. The other troubled spot, of course, US 1, Capitol Boulevard coming in from Wake Forest this morning. Of course, a lot of people use Lewisburg Road as an alternate route, but that has its own issues this time of the morning as well. Now, in terms of delays, here's what we're looking at. This was in double digits coming in from Lee or Moore County this morning. Things are getting better coming in from US 1 in all points south. 6 minutes there. The other troubled spot, 11 minutes. US 1 coming in from Capitol Boulevard this morning. And that delay that we showed you on I-40 westbound, you're looking at a 16-minute delay. Traffic is constantly changing. Listen to us on the radio, especially if you're heading into Durham this morning. You're looking at a 10-minute delay on I-885. 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
Thanks, Ken. Well, we've seen frost in parts of the area this fall, but many of you have yet to hit freezing. Meteorologist Chris Michaels joins us now. And Chris, the first freeze of fall is happening later and later.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. We've shown you this map that shows the long-term average for the first fall freeze, which in the mountains is mid-October, and here in that baby blue shading is the last week of October. Again, that's the long-term average. Let's break it down into different time intervals. Over the past 50 years, early November, but over the past 25, 10, and 5 years, the average first fall freeze is happening in early to even mid-November. Now, for those of you that are warm weather fans, you're okay with that. It does have some consequences, leads to a longer growing season, which means more prolonged allergies, especially if you're more sensitive to weed and grass pollen. Pests, mosquitoes, they can last a little bit longer. And the peak for fall foliage is also delayed, which means that the time frame for those really pretty colors is narrowed. Now, unfortunately, in the mountains, they're seeing the effects of Helene having knocked off a lot of the leaves on some of the higher peaks. Here's some low
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. We are starting off chilly again, but it's going to warm up nicely again. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with a look over Sanford.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. I take a live look here. Gorgeous sunshine. We're seeing that all across the viewing area. Town by town temperatures are still mainly in the 40s. It's 41 in Lewisburg, 44 South Hill, 46 in Irwin, 48 in Goldsboro, where there may be a little bit of patchy fog. Dog walking forecast. It's still chilly as you head out, but boy, by lunchtime, 71. We'll see a high of nearly 80 degrees this afternoon. Walking the dog right after work, it's still going to feel comfortable with mid-70s. Ken?
All right, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're seeing the usual congestion on some of our major roads. I-40 westbound coming in from Gardner, as well as US 1 coming in from the Apex area. Not to mention I-885 north and southbound this morning. In terms of the delay times, here's what we're looking at. If you're coming in from Wake Forest this morning, you're looking at a 4-minute delay. The real troubled spot, US 1 coming in from Apex, 12 minutes, 15 minutes on that I-40 westbound lanes, and 11 minutes on I-87 coming in from the Knightdale area. In terms of heading into the Bull City, not too bad. This was in double digits a little while ago. You're just looking at a 5-minute delay. Of course, I'll have an update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
Thanks, Ken. 3 people are in the hospital with severe injuries after a shooting at a restaurant. This happened just before midnight at the Manhattan Deli in Fayetteville. We are working to get an update on their injuries and if there are any suspects. And next on Fox 50, the concern from voters about confusing text messages after they cast their ballots. And next on Today, Billy Crystal live in Studio 1A.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Right now at 8:30, a shooting at a local hospital left 3 people seriously hurt this morning. What we're learning about the investigation as police search for a shooter.
And we're taking a look at the gardens right now, which look absolutely gorgeous. We're going to talk about how warm it'll be as we get through the afternoon.
All right, 14 days left until the election, and both presidential candidates are continuing to win over voters in key states, including here in North Carolina. The campaign stops planned for both Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff and former President Donald Trump later today. We have a lot of that coverage there, of course, here on WRAL, online, WRAL.com. We just want to say thank you for joining us here on WRAL News on Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Hopefully your day is starting off nice. Much like yesterday, it's a little chilly now, but just wait, because it's going to be beautiful. Again, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with a beautiful look over Fayetteville Street.
Yeah, looking so pretty. This is a look from our Jimmy V camera. All the people that I see walking up and down definitely have on long sleeves and long pants. It's chilly out there, of course, this morning. And I think we're probably used to that at this point. Temperatures are in the mid-40s. We've seen that, for the last 4 or 5 days, and that's not going to change much. It'll be a little warmer toward the end of the week, but not a whole lot. Our cool spot this morning has been Roxborough, sitting at 36, so there may be some spots up near the Virginia line where there is a little frost on the windshield, but shouldn't be anything that's too heavy. 49 in Fayetteville, 49 in Clinton, and most of us are warm enough that we're not seeing any frost this morning. If you're headed to the State Fair, it's going to be a great day. 71 degrees at lunchtime, 79 for the high, and if you're there into the evening, it really doesn't cool down too quickly. We're going to keep it in the 60s, really, all the way through around 9 or 10 o'clock. Taking a look at Oscar, it's moving faster, moving northeast at 12 miles per hour, but it only has winds at 40 miles per hour. It's sitting over the Bahamas now and will continue to move out into the Atlantic, where it's likely to fizzle out in the next 24 hours or so. It is getting pushed off to the east by a cold front, which will bring us some cooler temperatures by the end of the week. I'll show you that coming up, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're staying on top of that breaking news in southeast Raleigh this morning. This crash really is in the clearing phase, but we're still seeing some lingering delays on those I-40 westbound lanes. You can see the bumper-to-bumper traffic. Listen, you're coming in from Gardner this morning. Use Highway 70 as an alternate route and avoid this area altogether. Elsewhere around the Triangle and surrounding communities, we're seeing the usual slowdown in some of the other areas, particularly US 1 this morning coming in from Wake Forest. A lot of you use Lewisburg Road as an alternate route but that's congested as well. So you want to give yourself some extra time if you're heading out this morning for sure. In terms of the delay times, look at what we're seeing coming in on US 1, coming in from Apex this morning. You're looking at a 20-minute delay. There's an 11-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest this morning, and a 7-minute delay. Those I-87 southbound lanes coming in from Nightdale. 14 minutes, that's what we're looking at in terms of that I-40 westbound traffic that we just showed you. Now, if you're heading into the Bold City this morning, things are getting a little better. On I-885, you're just looking at a 6-minute delay this morning. You can listen to us anywhere in the triangle at 101.5 HD3.
Thank you, Ken. 3 people were seriously hurt during a shooting at a deli in Fayetteville. That happened just before midnight, right next to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center in Fayetteville. Let's get over to WRAL's Kelsey Coffey. She is outside there right now. Kelsey, investigators were out there for hours this morning, and the victims are now in the hospital.
Yes, Chris, those 3 people are in serious condition this morning. And that shooting happened here at the Manhattan Deli on Village Drive. So this is right next door to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. We'll take you straight to video now from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker so you can get a closer look at the scene. You can see crime scene tape surrounding the parking lot at the deli and part of the street there. Investigators were there working for hours. We're still working to get an update on what led up to that shooting, as well as an update on the condition of those 3 people who were shot. Right now, we're asking Fayetteville police if they have any information about the shooter. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Fayetteville.
Got another shooting to tell you about. This one happened in Durham. Police say it happened just before 8 o'clock last night on West Enterprise Street, which is near Fargo Street, if you're familiar. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker was there during a large police presence. And that is where we saw evidence markers on the ground. You can see it here on your screen. Investigators say the man was taken to the hospital and he is expected to live, but no word yet on any suspects in this case.
Today marks exactly 2 weeks until Election Day. Both presidential campaigns are making stops in North Carolina today to work to secure as many swing state votes as possible. WRAL's Laura Levine tells us about the local stops Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff and also former President Trump have planned for today.
Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff will begin his day in Cary for a campaign event. Then he'll come here to Carborough at Cat's Cradle, where the music video already beginning to unload equipment and prepare for the big event. It's going to be a concert where Emhoff is going to really mobilize support for the Harris-Walz campaign and encourage people to vote early. Emhoff was here in North Carolina recently as well, campaigning. These visits from both parties have become regular as North Carolina plays a critical role in this election. Former President Donald Trump will be in Greensboro today after holding a rally yesterday in Greenville and getting a look at the storm damage in Asheville. With early voting underway, the location of these stops are very strategic. Political strategists say data shows black voter turnout is down sharply from 2020, especially in rural parts of the state where black voters tend to be more socially conservative.
The ground campaign from both the Democrats and Republicans are in hyperdrive for the next 2 weeks. It'll be hand-to-hand combat because regardless of all the commercials, regardless of all the visits, it comes down to who turns out.
And political experts say while early voting trends do not determine or predict the outcome of an election, we know here in North Carolina, more than 1 million people have already cast their ballots. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Carborough.
Now, something to point your attention to, voters from all over our viewing area received this, let's call it a confusing text, really. It says a voter at your address may not have voted, with a link to the North Carolina Board of Elections website. More than 35 people reached out to WRAL News, telling us they received this exact text. One viewer says his wife received that text message shortly after the couple both voted early. They found it a bit confusing, so they warned their neighbors on the Nextdoor app to watch out.
I'm concerned people are going to be trying to ramp up charges of voter fraud, to throw shade on the election.
The number listed in the text message, it has a Texas area code and the number was busy or not working. A State Board of Elections spokesperson says while these mass text messages can be annoying, they are likely to continue through Election Day.
Today, 2 Buncombe County fire departments are honoring a battalion chief who was killed by a mudslide during Helene. Tony Garrison served as a battalion chief with the Fairview Fire Department and a firefighter with the Guerin Creek Fire Department. The departments are holding a final salute for Chief Garrison today as his remains are transferred to a church for private services. They are inviting other fire departments and emergency services agencies to join in on the farewell. The procession is happening at noon in Asheville.
This morning, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the Middle East to try again to negotiate a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. This is his 11th trip to the region since the war began last year. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to continue the fight with full force after killing Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. What's left of Hamas's leadership has also said they too will continue to fight. Meanwhile, negotiations are happening right now in Lebanon.
Today's challenge at the Home Chef competition at the State Fair is the Bake It Till You Make It Cheesecake Challenge. And these home chefs impressed the judges yesterday in the Cast Iron Cornbread Challenge. Charles Gaines took third with his apple maple skillet cornbread. Second place went to Claire Langford with her Mexican street cornbread with chorizo and cilantro crema cornbread. And Michelle Spears, she earned the blue ribbon for her cornbread with bacon and hot honey.
Not pictured here, Elizabeth Gardner's super jealous face looking at this delicious cheesecake.
So good.
All right, drivers should expect more backups and delays around the Lenovo Center and the fairgrounds. More concerts are scheduled for this Friday and Saturday. So remember this right here? Yeah, lots of traffic left drivers stranded for hours. The traffic blocked parts of Wade Avenue, I-40, and Western Boulevard. That happened as tens of thousands of people tried to enter the fair or attend a sold-out Sabrina Carpenter concert at the Lenovo Center.
There was one point I looked down at Waze and we only had like a mile and a half to go and it said 35 minutes to get there.
Little Big Town and Sugarland are playing at the Lenovo Center on Friday, and then the next day on Saturday, the Rainbow Kitten Surprise Concert starts at 8.
Going to see Little Big Town. Pray for me. WRAL has your guide to parking, saving money, and when to meet your WRAL favorites at the fair. Our ultimate guide to the 2024 State Fair is on the homepage of WRAL.com.
Your time is 8:39. The Baltimore Ravens won their 5th straight game, beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 41-31. And during last night's game, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson threw for 5 touchdowns. Running back Derrick Henry racked up 169 yards on just 15 carries. The Buccaneers not only lost the game, but they lost their 2 top receivers, Mike Evans and Chris Goodwin. They suffered injuries. The Ravens are now tied for first place in the AFC North with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A couple's dream of owning a new restaurant, they're on hold for now.
We were heartbroken because we just finally, ready to open somewhat in November, and this happened.
This morning, hear about the desperate search to find the driver responsible for crashing into the restaurant days before it opened.
Plus, the first day of the NBA regular season could go down in history. Basketball fans hope to see LeBron and Bronny hit the court together in their first official game.
All right, let's take a live look at the State Fair. It looks calm for now. Before opening, things are going to definitely get a lot busier there. Of course, Michelle and I will be there. Sunny skies are on tap if you are looking to head there this weekend. Elizabeth Gardner will join us after the break to tell us when you could expect to see some rain.
How about this view of Lake Gaston this morning on your Tuesday? Gorgeous view, very calm waters, blue skies, the sun is shining. Looks like a little bit of cloud cover or fog in the background there, but mostly clear. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with another clear view over Apex. A gorgeous start to our day.
Yeah, we had a touch of fog up there in Lake Gaston and along the Virginia line. And we could see that again overnight tonight, early tomorrow morning. But Apex, nice and clear. Most of us have seen clear skies. We've not had any widespread fog this morning, not causing any problems for the morning commute. 46 is our temperature. Really haven't climbed very much yet. But as we get into the 9 o'clock hour, we should see these temperatures bouncing up pretty quickly. We'll hit 71 by lunchtime. It's still 39 in Roxborough, 49 in Fayetteville. Fayetteville, 42 Rocky Mount, 48 in Southern Pines. Around town today, 79 in Raleigh, 78 in Durham, 79 in Fayetteville. So everybody getting in on some warm temperatures, and it's going to make for a really nice day at the State Fair. Our weather watcher Karen Horner sent us this gorgeous view, the night view of the Ferris wheel. So pretty with those colors and that dark background, just looking gorgeous. We love your weather watcher photos. Go to WRAL.com, search weather watchers, and send us what you have. High pressure has been in control of our weather lately. That's brought us a lot of sunshine and dry weather. As a matter of fact, we've seen almost no rainfall so far for the whole month of October. We take a look at our temperature swing. We're going to see a cold front sliding on through. That is not going to bring any rain with it, but it'll drop our temperatures a little bit toward the end of the week. Say Thursday, Friday, Saturday temperatures will likely warm back up as that high just sort of settles in a bit. So near 80 today and tomorrow, but 74 Friday and 72 degrees on Saturday. Taking a look at our State Fair forecast again, looking great. 79 for today, 80 Wednesday, and 74 degrees on Thursday. Looking ahead too, by the time we get to the end of the week, wrapping up that last weekend at the State Fair and into the first part of November, including Halloween, we have a good chance of above normal temperatures. This is sort of a little sneak peek at Halloween. High pressure should build in with a southwesterly wind, which tends to warm things up for us. So the overall pattern for Halloween right now would lead us to believe that we'll see highs in the 70s that day with a low chance for rain. But of course, that is more than a week away, and so we'll watch that closely. That may not be the final word, but it's looking good so far. We're watching for the chance of a different pattern to set up once a cold front comes through Saturday night. Saturday nice and warm at 81, but look at the huge difference. 68 on Sunday and 66 on Monday. If we have a cold air damming pattern set up, which looks like it could, it'll also bring us some cloud cover for early next week. Yeah.
And Jeff Hogan at the WRAL Live Center. I want to update you on a story, this video we showed you from a few weeks ago, and tell you what has happened in the meantime. Focus your attention right here. This is a passenger plane on a taxiway at an airport in Japan. Now, I'm going to put this in motion here, but keep your eyes focused on where that just passed through there. And the camera's going to shake a little bit, and then it's going to settle in, and you'll see what happens here as a bomb exploded right there on the taxiway at this Japanese airport. That was a U.S. World War II bomb, okay? Officials found a magnetic anomaly during their investigation that caused the explosion there. They dug up the area, and that's the next part of the video you're going to see here. This is what they've done in the last couple of weeks. They just worked on this area that they're going to zoom into there. The reaction was caused by a large amount of iron sand. So the workers filled it in, and they confirmed it was safe. They had a few delays, a few cancellations, but Sunday morning they got the airport back up and running in that area.
Pretty dramatic video to see that explosion.
Wild.
Thanks, Jeff. Two Wake Forest business owners are searching for the person responsible for crashing a vehicle into their store. And this happened days before the store was set to open. This is the Acai Express on Capitol Boulevard. On Saturday, a driver drove into the storefront, crashed right through the glass doors, and damaged furniture inside the business. The owners worked on opening the store for more than a year, and they just don't know how far this will set back their opening day.
We were heartbroken because we just finally, ready to open somewhat in November, and this happened. He just help us out, find the culprit. This is just not right. Just hit into the door and shatter and just left. I mean, luckily nobody was there that got hurt.
The store owners are asking anyone with information to please contact Wake Forest Police and hold the person responsible accountable.
The U.S. Navy identified these two aviators who died in a fighter jet crash last week in Washington state. This is Lieutenant Commander Lindsay Evans and Lieutenant Serena Wildman. The two women were part of the Electronic Attack Squadron 130, known as the Zappers. In July, they finished a deployment in the Middle East where the Navy says they both distinguished themselves in combat operations that cemented their legacies. The Navy announced that the two were dead on Sunday. The crash happened in a remote area of Mount Rainier. It took several days for search and rescue teams to locate the crash site due to the mountainous terrain.
The so-called Central Park Five are suing former President Trump for defamation over his comments about their case. The 5 Black and Latino men were teenagers when they were wrongfully convicted. They were accused of raping and beating a white female jogger in Central Park in 1989. At the time, Trump took out ads calling for the return of the death penalty. The teenagers at the time spent years in prison until 2002. That's when DNA evidence linked another person to the crime. During his recent debate with Vice President Kamala Harris, Trump said they pleaded guilty and badly hurt a person, killed a person in the attack. Now, the lawsuit alleges defamation because they never pleaded guilty to the assaults.
Harvey Weinstein has been diagnosed with bone marrow cancer. The disgraced Hollywood mogul, who was recently indicted on even more sexual misconduct charges, has chronic myeloid leukemia. He is currently getting treatment while in prison at Rikers Island in New York. Health issues have not been uncommon for Weinstein. In September, he had to have emergency heart surgery. And in July, he was hospitalized after testing positive for COVID-19 and double pneumonia. Weinstein is serving 16 years in prison.
New York Magazine says it is parting ways with its Washington correspondent over her personal relationship with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Olivia Nuzzi has been on leave since she disclosed the relationship last month. The magazine and a law firm investigated her work and found that her cover story of Kennedy did not result in inaccuracies or bias, but they decided that parting ways was the best course of action.
LeBron James and his son Bronny have the chance to make NBA history tonight. The pair could become the first father-son duo to play together in a regular season NBA game. Bronny could make his NBA debut. Just a few weeks ago, he appeared with his superstar dad on the court for a preseason game. The Lakers host the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's tonight at 10 p.m.
A music milestone for Jelly Roll, a horror creator's next project, and a look at a scary movie on the way. It's in today's Hollywood Nation with Ashley Dvorkin.
Ginger, are you okay? Look at me.
The Wolfman debuts Flanagan's next Fright and a milestone for Jelly Roll in the Hollywood Nation.
You try to be my friend.
Jelly Roll scored his first #1 album on the Billboard 200 with Beautifully Broken. Jelly recently performed at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction of Ozzy Osbourne and is currently on his Beautifully Broken tour with a just-announced homecoming headline show in Nashville to wrap up the run on November 26th at Bridgestone Arena. Deadline is reporting big news for horror fans. Writer-director Mike Flanagan is taking on Stephen King's Carrie and will be the showrunner as he turns it into an 8-episode series for Amazon. Flanagan and King's previous collaborations include the upcoming film The Life of Chuck and Dr. Sleep. Staying in the Halloween spirit, in today's First Looks is one of the Scary Movie trailers released at New York Comic-Con. Universal Pictures sent out a look at Wolfman, starring Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner. Abbott plays a husband and father en route with his family to a remote childhood home in Oregon he inherited. After he's attacked by an unseen animal, he starts to behave strangely and transform into something unrecognizable. It's in theaters January 17th.
In reporting. Kind of looks like Universal's rebooting its whole monster movie theme, but I think Michelle likes that kind of stuff, I suppose. All right, we are following a lot of other stories here at WRAL News, but before we go to break, we do have your look at your winning lottery numbers, and we'll get you another check on weather and traffic. That's coming up in just a bit.